Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Sotah, page 8, which contrasts and compares a person who is going to get the death penalty of skila, known as stoning, which is the most harsh of all the death penalties, which takes place under certain very serious crimes that were committed, and our case of our tractate of this woman who is the Sotah. Now, when it comes to the woman who is this Sotah, in which we are concerned because she secluded herself with another man, we don't know whether or not she actually committed a sin with him, so she goes to the temple, to the Beit HaMikdash, and she's tested with special waters. Now, on this, it's brought down that, according to one opinion, we are going to have her clothes also ripped. Now, even though that is something which is humiliating, and we typically would not want to humiliate a person, but part of the reason why we do this is not only so she would hopefully admit to her guilt so that she'll not end up having to drink this, which includes having God's name erased in this drink, but also because other people are watching. And the other women who are present, who are obligated to actually see this, it will perhaps inspire them to be a little bit more careful in their own marriages, in their own relationships, that they're not going to just simply lock themselves up and seclude themselves with other men other than their husband. And therefore, it was almost a way to deter people from potentially committing some type of sin in the future. However, when it comes to stoning, it's brought down, that's not necessary, because you don't need to have this person's clothes ripped and rended. And the reason is, even though maybe you want to deter people from sinning, but they're watching this person being sentenced to death. So there is no greater form of inspiration for a person to not want to sin than to see that this capital offense, that this person is going to actually be punished right before your very eyes. So on this, the Talmud asks a very basic question. So do it also. Even though it's not necessary, so what? So rip the garment and humiliate them a little bit. After all, they're criminals. They're obviously terrible people that they deserve to be killed, to be sentenced to death, which the Torah doesn't just consider that a light act. Must be that this person is really bad. So why don't we just rip their garments also when it comes to before the death penalty and humiliate them? And on this, the Talmud gives an unbelievable answer. It says you're not allowed to, because the Torah tells us three very important words. And those words are v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, that you're obligated to literally love your neighbor like yourself. And on this, the Talmud says that you need to choose a proper death, which means, even though it's true, the Torah says that there is a specific punishment, and we as the courts have to follow whatever the law is, but that doesn't mean we have to add insult to injury. It doesn't mean that this person needs to be humiliated and embarrassed by having their garments ripped and that they should be standing naked for the last few moments of their life. We have to be sensitive to this person, and therefore we will not rip this person's clothes, but rather will allow them to die in a somewhat more dignified manner. Now, this is an unbelievable thought, because when we think of love your neighbor as yourself, we may think that means the people that we love anyway, my good friends, people who are nice to me, people who are good. No, the Torah is telling us not love your friend like yourself, love your neighbor. It doesn't matter who your neighbor is. Even if it's someone who is literally on death row, we have to still figure out ways to be able to be sensitive to them. Now, when it comes to encountering people in this world, we're not encountering such individuals. We encounter people that may not always be so pleasant, but certainly the Torah is telling us that we definitely have to be careful to treat those people with love and respect.